Big up everybody, this is Adrian lately. I am a very big fan of Dave Chappelle. You know, the way he puts his words together, his presentation in his specials, and how he comes up with some of the most outlandish stories that end up being some of the most iconic jokes in comedy history. Now, as I said, I'm a fan, and when you're a fan of an artist, you want to see your favorite artist, comedian, whatever it is, you want to see them have success in their field, whether music, comedy, whatever it is. And that is the power that Dave Chappelle used in his special Unforgiven. He diligently explained the situation with Netflix and that he wasn't getting what he wanted for his show, for Dave Chappelle's show, that is a big fan favorite from him. But in explaining this, he had a story about what we call a 3-card man, but I believe Americans call it 3-card Monty, something like that. And he would switch around the cards, and then by the time Dave went to pick the card wasn't the card, and he lost. He would go on to say that he eventually realized they were all working together. All the people around the table were all working together to get the money from him. This story was an attempt to explain how he feels about when he made the arrangement with Comedy Central and he was to do the contract, and then them telling him that the contract is a good contract. Everyone that was telling him it was a good contract was not necessarily his friends, but actually a part of the whole system that was trying to get him to sign that contract to make money from him. And sometimes you're in that industry and you feel you have friends, or you feel like you have real acquaintances, but they are really a part of the system and they will be loyal to that system because it pays them. Now, the whole industry of comedy it started out like most industries, where it's like a wild west thing. Just like music started out, it was a big free for all. Everybody just doing what they're doing, and you know, there was no real royalty check. People just took elements of other people's songs, just did them and just performed other people's songs and all that. And it was a real wild west until it was developed and there were royalties and there were licenses and all that. Just like that in comedy, you started out, you know, friends took friends' jokes. One is going to Florida, one is going to New York, so you know it doesn't hurt. Let's just do this joke here and you do the same joke up there, and you know it was a big wild west kind of thing where it's a big free for all. But you want, as a comedian trying to get comedy to a level where it is a real industry, you may have your joke and somebody else does it, and you're okay with that because the aim is to get comedy to a point where the industry as a whole benefits and you can really start eating from it when it is developed. Dave Chappelle had another story in which he explained that an older comedian had asked him about a joke that he did and told him that he wanted to do that joke, and Dave Chappelle was like, okay, you can do it, because the person had liked the joke and they said yes, they can do it. It was at a point where Dave Chappelle said, you can stop doing this joke now because I want to do it, and I mean sometimes we're ending up at the same comedy show and you're doing this joke and that's my best joke and I want to do it, and you know. So Dave Chappelle explained that this was his approach to the person, and the person's approach to him was to firstly ask him to sell him the joke for $50. And Dave Chappelle said, no, I just want the joke. I want you to stop telling the joke. And the comedian's response was to tell him that he could just take the joke because he's a bigger comedian and probably no one will believe Dave Chappelle at the time that it's his joke. That would be another story that Dave Chappelle would tell that explains his situation with Netflix. Now, the situation with Katt Williams and Cedric the Entertainer, I believe that is how Katt Williams is feeling, because he has said that Cedric the Entertainer had expressed to him that he liked the joke and it was a good joke and all of that. So when Katt Williams saw that he had a joke very, very similar to the one that Katt Williams was doing, I think out of a sense of some kind of duty to the practice of comedy, Katt Williams allowed Cedric to do this joke over the years. But it was when they asked Cedric about the joke and Cedric had not acknowledged that Katt Williams was the origin of the joke is when Katt Williams was really upset about it. And this is much like when Dave Chappelle said the bigger comedian told him that he would just take the joke and no one would care. Much like Steve Harvey's response to Mark Curry when Mark Curry was saying that Steve Harvey took his joke. Steve Harvey's response was very harsh, very demeaning of Mark Curry.
Mark Curry says that you're still stealing his jokes.
Hey man, listen to me.
Yeah.
Now this, I'm getting sick of this right here.
Yeah.
Mark Curry need to grow up. Steve Harvey ain't been on stage since 2015.
Well, he said he used him on one of your shows.
Ask Mark Curry what joke he talking about. Tell him to grow up, man.
I think it was on Little Big Shots he was making the reference.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he said.
Are you kidding me?
He said that he confronted you about it before, and then even after that, he used it again.
And he still ain't said what joke it is. Get a life, get a career.
Now, what I don't think is that Steve Harvey takes comedy as serious as Mark Curry or Katt Williams does. Because Steve Harvey is saying that he's on him about a joke. But this is a serious thing to Mark Curry. This is something that he feels or he has been working on. At the same time, in the same breath, Katt Williams feels the same way about his comedy. And Katt Williams is a real street person, a street G. Like, these kind of people have like a street code where, you know, they deal with loyalty, they deal with honesty, they deal with respect on a different level. And that is why the interview that he did with Shannon Sharp blew up, because not a lot of these type of people go out and talk, and Katt Williams doesn't care. A street G really just cares about the truth, cares about saying what is true to him. And not a lot of people that have been in the industry a long time are able to talk like Katt Williams can talk. And that is what people appreciated about that interview. Anyway, people, let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to subscribe, like and share the video, and we'll see you in the next one.